All right, I'm gonna be making a pipe rocker. It's gonna look very similar to this one. It's gonna be the army / olive green. And it's actually gonna have this concho in there because this is too big for this one. So I just made this as a mock-up. So we're gonna do something a little bit different. First, I'm gonna start by trimming a 1-inch strip of 6-ounce veg tan leather. Very simple. Just keep it nice and straight and pull all the way through. Looks like it got a little thin there in the middle, but that's okay. We're only going to use about half of this. Move our leather this way. And the nice thing about these mats is that each square is exactly 1 inch by 1 inch, so I can easily cut exactly what we need. I am going to trim this end a little bit. Just gonna find my cutting tool here. And the nice thing is that you can use, if you're going to do this, you can easily do this, or you can switch right over to a utility knife, and it cuts exactly the same. And if you just score the edge there using the cutter, if you don't get all the way through with the cutter, you can easily come back with the X-Acto knife and follow across, and you're not going to have to worry about running into your the body of your leather. Okay, and these are 10 inches long, just to accommodate the overall length of most pipes. As you can see, I didn't even use the cutter on this one, on this end. That's right, put some excess over there. And that gives us a nice little strip, 10 inches long, 1 inch tall, and that will accommodate that concho, the height of that concho. So, a lot of people say to do this in a lot of different ways. This mat is pretty beat up, so I'm not too worried about how it's going to look in the end. But what I am going to do is I am going to round out these ends, and I'm going to be using just an end rounding bit. Now, there it is, that's the right one. It's pretty simple. Just go a little shy of the end there. Make sure that both side edges are even, so that you cut off the same amount and it's evenly rounded on both sides. And then you just take this, your good old Whacker 4000, and drive straight through. There we go. That gives us a nice rounded end. We do the same for the other side. Okay, that gives us 2 even ends, so then when we fold this over, they're going to be pretty much identical. And yeah, and what we can do, if there's any unevenness, there's a little bit of unevenness in this, So what you can do is simply just run that over it a few times. And that shaves that down right there. I'm using a nail filer. It's actually got a nice handle on it because it's nice and long. And what that does is that gives us just about the same height. And you can always bend it over. You get these really looking to be about the same. Just a few backwards there. And now we are ready for stain. As far as I'm concerned, stain has never been one of those things that has been an issue for me, as far as like, you know, learning how to do it, overdoing it, all that kind of stuff. For me, it's pretty cut and dried, and I've tested a bunch of ways that I do it. And honestly, easiest way is folding a paper towel over a few times until you get a small square about that big. Then you put, I'm using the Phoebing's, Army Green. It's actually using this, an untreated, undyed piece of leather. It's going to give us a decent dark olive green color. And always, 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 always wear gloves. Otherwise, you can have a bunch of different issues that go on. Namely, the fact that your skin is basically the same material as leather. So, to avoid turning your skin green for an indeterminate amount of days, it's better to wear a little bit of protective gear, as it were. That is pretty simple here. And that's it. You're not overdoing it. You're just pulling along the edges here. And you're just getting it a nice coat, which is great. And it's funny because everybody's like, well, you got to use the dauber and you got to use all these different things. And I'm like, you know what? No, let's do this easily. Let's do this with something that is going to give us a nice finish and it's not going to destroy the budget to do it. A lot of people will say that you gotta really make sure that your leather is saturated or wet, and I don't agree, because we're gonna come back over this with Resolene, and Resolene really is one of those things that is a good sealer, and it's going to keep your leather, nice and dry. And it's going to give it a really nice shine in the end. So that's literally it. There's not a whole lot that goes on there. Maybe just another touch up right here to really even that out. And there you go. It's a nice army green technically, but it's definitely a darker version of olive. And that's kind of the effect we're going for. Now we're going to give that a second or two to dry. So that's going to give me a second to set up our Resolene. And this is the part where I'm probably going to get a little bit of feedback in the comments. You gotta wait. And I've never really waited. It's not something that I've needed to do. I didn't apply very much stain to this. As you can see, it's already pretty much dried out. And my Resolene here, I have another bottle. The tag just fell off this one, but this is Phoebing's Resolene. Again, these are $7 up at Tandy. And very, very cheap, very inexpensive. You can do 10, 15, 20 projects with them, no problem. The nice part is that this is almost dry now. As I'm tapping along, there's no excess that's coming off on my gloves, and that's pretty much the gauge that I use. Again, I'm not a leather professional. I'm not, this is a hobby for me. This is something that I enjoy doing. I want to become professional and do this a lot more often. But this is something that is easy, quick, and it doesn't require a lot of effort and energy. Again, a lot of people will tell me, well, you're not keeping the stain off of here. This mat is pretty old. This is the original mat I started with. Well, the original big mat that I started with. And as you can see, there's holes in it. There's stain all over it. There's all sorts of different things. So I'm not particularly worried about this mat. And as you can see, that Resolene has given it a nice texture. And as it dries, it's going to start to come out. And the nice part is, as you can see, I haven't treated any of this at all anywhere else. The idea behind that is that I'm going to be able to then stain it. As you can see, we got a little bit back there, and a lot of people would be like, "Oh no, it's done, it's over, we messed up." Not a big deal. This part, in fact, is going to be directly underneath where a rivet's going to go, so it's not going to show at all. That's what I love about leather, is it's quite forgiving overall as far as dyeing as leather goes, those types of things. The first thing we're going to do here is we're actually going to flip it. We're going to put more Resolene on. If you notice, I am not going to be burnishing the back side of this. I am going to be simply putting on a layer of Resolene. What that's going to do is it's going to darken it up a little bit. It's going to eliminate some of the bigger things. It's going to seal it just slightly, just enough to keep things moving. But what I found is that if I burnish the back of this particular product, it actually doesn't allow the ability to hold the pipe. So I have good old solid Peterson. If I put a Peterson in a burnished edge, it'll actually slide right up and out. So that's one of the things that I've done, is I'm just adding a little bit of Resolene to this, just to allow it to hold, to grip, and to give it a nicer interior without changing the ability to grip that pipe, because this is one of those things that needs to be pretty careful. I mean, I know that for me, that pipe was $150, something like that. I don't want that to shoot out over a piece of leather, because that piece of leather didn't want to hold. As you can see, it's really starting to get some good color up in here, and it's a little darker on that edge. That's okay. It's going to buff out, and it's going to actually dry out a little bit better as we go along. Now, one thing that I've learned for our next part is I'm going to be using Tokonol, and everybody's like, well, you got to do this, got to do that. There's one thing that works with Tokonol, one thing that works better than anything else I've ever seen, and that is Tokonol and canvas. Take your edge, literally a little dab on the top of your finger, rub that on the edge, and start to burnish. And you're going to be able to hear this. Yeah, right there. And immediately that edge starts to burnish. And because we applied Resolene to the back before we did this, it doesn't leave a stain mark in the back of the piece.